Is South China Sea the new arena for US-China power competition? Is US using Philippines and Japan as pawns to counter Beijing?
The US-Japan alliance is stronger today than ever, and getting stronger by the day.
We will continue to support the Philippines and stand behind them.
As tensions escalate between the Philippines and China over the South China Sea, and as Japan and Beijing struggle to improve their strained ties, the United States seems to be taking advantage of the hostilities between its two closest allies in the region and its biggest rival, China. Days after Manila and Tokyo signed a landmark defense pact, the Reciprocal Access Agreement, or RAA, which allows Filipino forces to enter Japan for joint drills. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd are scheduled to meet their counterparts in the Philippines and Japan to discuss security issues, including what they perceive as security threats posed by Beijing in the Indo-Pacific. Observers say the US has played a key role in bringing Manila and countries such as Tokyo closer, resulting in the consequential Mutual Defense Pact, which is one of the many recent similar tie-ups between Philippines and other nations. Believed to be orchestrated by America to contain China's growing influence in the region. Blinken and Austin will be meeting with Philippine Secretary of Foreign Affairs Enrique Manalo and Secretary of National Defense Gilberto Teodoro in Manila on July 30th for the 2+2 ministerial dialogue, where they will discuss strengthening defense ties and the increasingly heated territorial disputes with Beijing in the South China Sea. Before heading to Manila, the two senior US officials traveled to Tokyo to meet with Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa and Defense Minister Kihara Minoru to discuss a number of regional security issues and to continue to build on the momentum of the US-Japan-Philippines trilateral cooperation, according to a US State Department press release. Experts such as Abdul Rahman Yaqub, who is a research fellow in the Southeast Asia program at the Lowy Institute based in Sydney, Australia, told This Week in Asia from South China Morning Post that the recently signed Reciprocal Access Agreement between Manila and Tokyo was part of a broader regional trend in which the US brings like-minded partners together to work on common security issues. The agreement, which paved the way, among other things, for larger military exercises between Filipino and Japanese troops, was slammed by China.
或损害第三方利益。亚太地区不需要军事集团，更不需要挑动阵营对抗、鼓动新冷战的小圈子。任何损害本地区和平稳定、破坏本地区团结合作的行径，都将招致地区人民的警惕。
The US has been said to be active behind the scenes in setting up defense and security cooperation arrangements in Southeast Asia. Even during the 1960s and early 1970s, Washington's involvement in the planning stage made the five-power defense arrangements a reality, Yaqub told This Week in Asia. By five-power defense arrangements, the researcher was referring to the multilateral defense agreements between Australia, Malaysia, New Zealand, Singapore, and the United Kingdom following Britain's withdrawal from Southeast Asia. Washington has also been instrumental in shaping several blocs in the region, including AUKUS, which is a trilateral security partnership for the Indo-Pacific region between Australia, the UK, and the US. There are several other regional defense initiatives taken by the US over the past year to counter what the US Department of Defense calls serious challenge to America from China, including the announcement of bilateral agreements with Australia, India, and Japan to co-produce or acquire advanced capabilities to strengthen deterrence across the region, the continued implementation of major defense initiatives with Japan, South Korea, Philippines, and Australia, signing of bilateral defense cooperation agreement with Papua New Guinea, building on decades of bilateral defense and security cooperation in the Indo-Pacific, extension of economic assistance for compacts of free association with three key Pacific Island partners including Micronesia, Palau, and the Marshall Islands, an agreement on multi-year, trilateral exercise plan between US, Japan, South Korea, as well as real-time data sharing mechanism for warning of North Korean missiles, the integration of Australia, Japan into US force posture initiatives, the expansion of bilateral training with Thailand and Indonesia to feature exercises across region, investment in next-generation regional defense leaders with Association of Southeast Asian Nations. In addition to its defense pact with Japan, the Philippines has increased security ties with a number of other countries recently and announced that it is working on making similar agreements with even more. In a TV interview on July 22nd, Philippines Defense Secretary Teodoro announced, "We are going to work on an RAA, hopefully with Canada, with France, with New Zealand, and with other countries that escaped my memory." France recently included the Philippines in its annual Indo-Pacific Air Force mission, PEGAS 24, which Manila's Department of National Defense hailed as a first in the history of Philippine-France defense relations. The Philippine and Vietnam Coast Guards also recently announced they are in talks to hold their first ever joint drills, despite their overlapping claims in the South China Sea. While some accuse the US of using the Philippines against China, others believe Manila is seeking out these defense pacts because it has doubts about whether Washington will come to its aid should conflict with China escalate. Experts also point to the strategic convergence between Washington and Manila. While the US is trying to check China's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific region, the Philippines is concerned about its overlapping maritime claim with Beijing. Both the allies see China as a security concern from different perspectives.